So today I really want to dive into the inner workings of learning. It's funny, we often focus on the outside stuff, but the inside game of learning is usually way tougher. To really get our heads around how we learn, we gotta rewind all the way back to the beginning. Think about when a baby is born. First thing they do, learn from their parents, right? They're like little sponges, watching everything mom and dad say and do and just copying it. That's where the whole learning ball gets rolling. Then, boom, they're off to school, buried in books and just soaking up life lessons left and right. Now, the basic learning process? It's really just 3 key steps. First, observation. But don't just think of it as seeing. It's more like tuning in with all your senses, from every angle to really grab the good stuff. You gotta watch long enough and deep enough to see the whole picture. Next up is analysis. This is where the thinking cap goes on. It's about mulling things over, reflecting, and really digging in to understand what's actually going on. You gotta carve out time to really chew on what you've seen. And finally, synthesis. Think of this as picking out the golden nuggets from everything you've learned and making them your own. You could also see this as making a decision. After you've looked at something every which way and really thought it through, you decide what you're going to do with it. Now, if you're aiming to go next level and build some serious understanding, I'd throw in a 4th step, sharing it. Once you've really nailed down some knowledge, get it down on paper or explain it out loud. Better yet, teach it to someone, friends, kids, co-workers, whoever. Here's the cool part. When you teach, you're going to get hit with curveballs, tough questions you might not have answers to right away. That's your light bulb moment. You realize whoa, maybe I don't know this as well as I thought. That's your cue to circle back to step 1. Reobserve, reanalyze, and resynthesize. Then you can come back and knock those questions out of the park. Just keep cycling through this process and your knowledge and understanding will get deeper and deeper, guaranteed. This learning thing, it's not just for school books, it's for everything in life. It helps us not just learn facts, but truly get things and use what we know in a way that's both smart and effective. Look, nobody becomes an Einstein by just observing, analyzing, and synthesizing once or twice. Einstein's famous equation, that was 20 years in the making. He must have gone through those steps tens of thousands of times. Same story with Edison and the light bulb, 10,000 tries. Think about it. Edison's first bulb fizzled out. Did he just build another one exactly the same way? No way. He made tweaks, he improved it. That's observation, analysis, synthesis in action after every single failure. He figured out what went wrong, made a little change. 10,000 tries later, bam. The light bulb was born and the rest is history. So even inventing something totally new follows this process. Bottom line, whoever sticks with it the longest wins. The person who really sees the whole picture, thinks deeply, and synthesizes thoroughly, that's the one who's going to hit it out of the park. Now think about relationships, marriage, family. Does this process play out there too? When you meet someone you're interested in, aren't you observing them, really listening? It's not like you meet someone and think, wedding tomorrow, right? If you meet someone and demand marriage the next day, you're rushing, not thinking things through, not really getting it, and just letting your heart run wild. Immature, you know. When people want to get hitched after a day or two, they call it love at first sight. But love at first sight, that's like a firework, bright and flashy for a second, then poof, gone. So I always raise an eyebrow at couples who get married after just a few months. If it's under a year, red flag city for me. I'm thinking, do they really know each other? Have they even met each other's families? Have they thought about each other's strengths and weaknesses before saying I do? Getting to know someone? That is the process of observing, analyzing, and synthesizing. You're trying to figure out if you're compatible. What's their deal? What's my deal? Do these two puzzle pieces even fit? If they don't quite click, how can we adjust things to make them fit before we get married? Aim for, say, 70% compatibility before you walk down the aisle. Too many folks jump in with only 20%, thinking the other 80% will magically sort itself out. Newsflash, it doesn't. That 80% mismatch, that can kill a relationship stone cold. I call it the mismatched socks problem, like wearing socks that just clash and feel wrong all day. When a husband and wife are on the same page intellectually, their hearts are in sync, their values are similar, and their moral compasses point in the same direction, that marriage has legs. But if one partner is way smarter than the other, or way less intelligent, things often crumble. One person with super high morals, the other with questionable ones. Mismatched socks, relationship breakdown. Even if they're both brainy types, neck and neck smart, but one's all about kindness and giving, and the other is Mr. or Ms. Self-centered, they're gonna have a tough time. Dating? Maybe they can shrug it off. Oh, a little selfishness, no biggie. But married? Suddenly, it's unbearable. Life turns into a slow burn of misery. Think about Santa Claus. What's his life all about? Kindness, generosity, right? Santa's job description? Give, give, give. Christmas Day, billions of gifts out the door. So what's he doing the other 364 days? Wrapping presents. So, picture Mrs. Claus. What kind of woman would she have to be? Just as giving, just as generous as him to make it work. If her heart's not as big as his, no way. Birds of a feather flock together, right? For a marriage to last, you gotta be a matching set, like socks that actually go together, not a mismatched mess. That's probably why Santa's a bachelor, ever notice? No Mrs. Claus. Same deal with the Wicked Witch. No husband for her either. Why? Because she's always calculating, scheming, thinking me, me, me. When you're too self-absorbed, nobody wants to sign up for life with you. Finding a soulmate, someone who really gets you, it's a tough gig. So when we observe, analyze, and synthesize life, we see that for lasting happiness, you need to be well matched, or at least not too mismatched. But what if you're already married and suddenly realize, uh-oh, mismatch alert? Say your brain power is an 8 out of 10, but your wife's more like a 5. The fix? Encourage her to learn, to build up those 3 treasures in her life. Those 3 treasures are wise mentors, solid friendships, and insightful books. Then you might need to dial it down a notch yourself, play a little less smart so those socks aren't so mismatched anymore. If you're always flexing your intellectual muscles and showing off how much smarter you are than your wife, those socks are gonna stay mismatched. Sometimes you gotta play it a little dumb. Be a little less assertive at home. Be sharp as a tack out in the world, but keep it simple and real at home, and things will smooth out. That's wisdom in action, knowing how to adjust to create harmony. Now, what if the mismatch is in the morals department? A moral gap is a real problem, and morals are tough to overhaul. To bridge that gap, you both need to work on those 3 treasures together. For example, charity work. That's part of the good friend's treasure. Wherever you volunteer, bring your wife along, keep inviting her, and who knows, she might end up out charitying you down the road. Women, if they're not feeling it, they're just not feeling it. But if they get passionate about something, they jump in with both feet, like moths to a flame, hence, virtuous men and devoted women. Men tend to focus on doing good deeds, while women are naturally trusting. Once they trust something, they're all in. No questions asked. Devoted women. Devotion is all about trust. Virtuous men are different. Men need to see that something is truly good and right, then they'll invest their time and money. But women might just trust their guru and run with it, without even thinking if it's good or bad. Guru says it's right, done deal. It's kind of a female tendency. They read a book, think it's amazing, then everything in it must be gospel. They don't realize a book might have a great chapter, but the rest is filler. So what's the root of that? Lack of wisdom, plain and simple. When you've got wisdom, you know what to keep and what to toss. Even the best guru's gonna have flaws. Nobody's perfect. Perfect people are on pedestals, for worship only. Down here with the rest of us, we're all works in progress, right? So remember, after you learn from someone, a lot of you say, "Teacher, I admire you so much." I tell you, Satrikis, wait till I'm pushing up daisies to admire me. While I'm still kicking, hold off on the hero worship, okay? Let's try observing, analyzing, and synthesizing the effects of spoiling kids. Let's watch 20 families who spoil their kids rotten, or even 100 families. What patterns do you see popping up in those kids' lives? What happens after a year, 5 years, 10 years? Then, when they hit 20, what's the overall picture? You'll see in those families, after 20 years, 90% of those kids are spoiled brats. Maybe 10% squeak by okay. 90% of them just naturally become spoiled, weak, timid, selfish, totally self-absorbed. They expect their parents to be their personal servants, and some even threaten to hurt their parents if the spoiling stops, right? Huge issue these days. Then we can synthesize a rule of thumb. Spoiling kids is the cause, and dependency and selfishness are the effect. Once you've cracked that code, print that sentence out in big bold letters, keep it simple, and slap it on the wall. Spoiling your kids equals dependency and selfishness. So this whole process is everywhere you look, but we just don't use it enough, do we? Because we don't use it often enough, our understanding stays shallow. And because our understanding is shallow, we just keep right on spoiling our kids.